Here I'm marking out for my center, and this is so I can drill a hole for the worm screw. Now I don't have the video on pouring of the epoxy because this is epoxy. I did an epoxy table and it all leaked out, so I threw a pail underneath, threw some dye in there, and threw some wood pieces in there from a branch and walked away from it. So I'm missing that video. Here I'm setting up for the worm screw. Now, this is my very first time turning an epoxy bowl. I've never done this one before. I've done wooden bowls, but never an epoxy one, so this is going to be an adventure for me. I'm not sure what to expect at this point. Now I'm going to spin the bowl into place, tighten it up real nice and tight. And this has been lingering around the shop for about 2 months, maybe a little longer. And I keep staring at it, and I said to myself, I guess now is the time to turn it, or I won't turn it ever. So I figure now is the time. Now I'm going to start off a little bit slow, and I'm using my bowl gouge. So I got the RPM set about 1200 right now, and I slowly increase it to about 1650 to 1700 RPMs as I go. At this point, it's about 1700 RPM, 1600 for sure. Now, turning an epoxy bowl was not what I expected. I thought it'd be a little bit easier than this, but it was actually, it was different. It's different than a wooden bowl for sure. Here I'm cutting for the tenon, so I can flip it around and take the worm screw out and throw it into the chuck. Now my battery on the camera died, so I missed this footage of getting the inside of that bowl. And here I am, I thought I had a good shot of this part, but my elbow kind of got in the way there, so it's not that great of a shot. But here I am hogging out the center. Now for sanding wise, I started off with an 80 grit sandpaper and I worked my way up to 800 grit. Once I got to the 6, 7, and 800, I wet sanded. Now I probably could have spent a little bit more time on the sanding. Again, this was my first time turning an epoxy bowl, so a lot of the imperfections popped up here and there. So I tried to sand out a lot of the imperfections, but it was a lot more difficult than I thought. Now here I'm using a little bit of CA glue on 2 or 3 spots there that I noticed that the wood chips that was inside was kind of separating a little bit from the epoxy. And here I am using an activator to dry the crazy glue a lot faster so I can keep going and not stop and wait. Now the wood chips that were used, it was from a birch tree that we ended up chopping up into round squares and throw them in there. Later on, you'll see there's a white line that's going across the top. I tried to sand that out, and I'm thinking it's what that is a piece of string from the burlap, that a white string across that was embedded into the epoxy, because it's deep into the epoxy, and I couldn't get that out. So I'm thinking it's the burlap from the tree that's a string that's running across like that. And you'll see what I mean later on in the video. Now here I'm going to use some OB Shine juice that I mixed up. And what this is 2 ounces of shellac, 2 ounces of boiled linseed oil, and 2 ounces of denatured alcohol. But in Canada, I don't think you can get denatured alcohol. So the substitute is methyl hydrate. And that's what we have out here in Canada, so that's what we use. And I put about 2 or 3 coats, and I just work it in. And there's that white line I was telling you about. It's deep into the epoxy. I couldn't sand that out unless I sand a lot. I'm thinking that that is the burlap from the tree, a string of it that ended up that way. And I just work it in for about 15-20 minutes. For a first time, I'll take it. Now I'll take it off to the chuck and cut the tenon off on the back, sand that side down, finish it up, and she's good to go. And this is the finished product. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, throw a comment below, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.